We have some numbers from the Economist YouGov poll, which is one of those high quality polls that we love to look at.
Yep.
And this is Trump's job approval rating: 37% approve, 59 disapprove.
Not great, Donald.
And it's not great. And if you look at here at the bottom, 51% is strongly disapprove. So
yeah, there's not a lot of daylight there.
No, the gulf between strongly disapprove and approval is massive. And we've talked about the sort of middle of the polls hollowing out. So there's less people who are unsure about where they stand on Donald Trump. And that is those people have migrated mostly into the strongly disapproval column. This again is going to be an anchor around all these Republicans running this year.
Sure is.
They are, you'll see them either choose between adhering to Trump as hard as possible. The super MAGA warriors will try to make their whole campaign about Trump. I think that's actually a bad move for them.
Yeah.
And then you'll see
even in some red districts, do you think? Because I think the economy is starting to smash even the Trump.
I think it will hurt in red districts. It will especially hurt those MAGA candidates who are not incumbents. Incumbency is arguably the biggest advantage a candidate can have in any given election, just generally. And when you don't have that and you are a super MAGA warrior, you are at risk of being pulled down by Trump's approval rating on this and on the economy. And even in those purple districts where you have moderate Republicans running, what you'll see is them try to steer away from Trump. And the trick for Democrats will be making them, making voters see that these people will vote with Trump 96% of the time or 99% of the time. And, they'll try to dodge him as much as they can. I'm thinking about those districts in Pennsylvania, Brian McKenzie.
Sure.
Bucks County.
Fitzpatrick.
Excuse me. Those kind of places, he will try to steer away from Trump. And the magic is going to be letting voters know that he votes with Trump 90% of the time. Yeah. He voted for things like tariffs and the big, beautiful bill. And, he's backing all this immigration, the bloodbath in the streets that ICE is carrying out.
It's going great, Susan Collins.
Yeah, it's going really great. So they're going to try to dodge Trump as hard as they can because of this.
Right.
If you look at these economic numbers, it's devastating. Only 24% of people say the economy is excellent or good.
When you see that kind of wrong track indication, man, you ought to run. If you're a Republican right now, you ought to run for the damn hills.
Run for the damn hills, or don't run at all. Which we've seen.
What are we at? Like 40 now?
Well, I think we are in the 40s. But that number keeps growing of Republicans who have chosen not to run or chosen not to seek re-election or just simply kept their names off the ballot because they know that this year they're going to be, one, flushing money down the drain, and two, losing an election that could be the end of their career. So a lot of these guys are figuring, it's better to just hold fire for now.
Better part of valor is to try to lick your wounds and come back another year with a lot of these guys. And we've seen the results of bad economic news in prior elections, folks. In 2024, we saw the result of bad economic news where Joe Biden got beaten. We saw in 2020 where Donald Trump had a lot of COVID-driven bad economic news, and that was a major part of how we were able to beat him.
Right.
In 2006, George W. Bush had a terrible economic picture. Republicans got spanked. So there are. You can go back to Jimmy Carter. You can go back a long way. Economic mood will triumph even in this weird era that we live in over just trying to bullshit your way past it.
Yeah, you brought up those elections, and I think it's important to look back at our past midterms. In 2006, 2018, and 2022 are the ones that I really think about.
I'm sorry, I didn't mention 22.
Yeah, these were all elections where, 22 is a little different. 2018, I think, is one that we should really focus on. That was in the middle of Trump's first term, and they got smashed. It was a bloodbath, and that was a lot about healthcare. But it shows you that when there's a really powerful issue was a really salient issue with voters. And, you know, when you control the House, Senate, and presidency, you are blamed 100%.
Oh yeah, you are.
And it will drag your party down.
You own that pony.
Right. And Trump owns what's happening with the economy. He owns what's going to happen in the future now that we're back at war with Iran. And I want to talk about that too, because
it's going great.
I think that's a really big deal. And I think we have some stuff on tariffs as well. Oh, this is in hindsight, was going to war with Iran the right decision? 57% say it was the wrong decision. 27% say it's the right decision, and 65% say they want to deal with Iran.
Once again, I just like to remind people that when we left at the end of the Vietnam War, when the helicopters were leaving the roof of the embassy in Saigon, 29% of Americans still believe we were right to be in the Vietnam War.
Yeah. And, you know, I think this is a really important issue. It's an important question that in 2028, a Republican candidate is going to have to come on stage and explain how he will disentangle us from this war with Iran.
Yep.
He or she. I think that could really sink a campaign, because I see no way that we make it to 2028 and this war is over because of the way it's restarted now.
Look, and I think it's a very acute point, Andrew. I think that's a very smart point, because there is no scenario where Iran is militarily defeated to the point where China can't prop it back up, or the Gulf allies get too exhausted by being hit with cruise missiles and cheap drones, between now and 2028, where we can declare victory. There is no victory condition right now in Iran.
Well, there never was a victory condition that was anything realistic.
No, no,
this was
not even for a minute.
It's hard to even think back to the reasons why we got into this war. It's hard to even.
I know. Isn't that ironic? Isn't that ironic that it's hard to even describe the purpose of this war?
And that's because at the time when it started, it was nonsense. And you know, you see a Rubio or a Vance on stage explaining how they're going to get out.
I don't. And look, the problem for all of them, if Trump is alive still, the problem for every single one of them is, if they say the president made a mistake that I now have to fix, he's going to get off his wheelchair in Mar-a-Lago and go on Truth Social and say, JD Vance betrayed me. I hate him. Little Marco lied. Whatever it is. Yep. These guys, they will always have him hovering over them.
Yep.
And I find that I keep thinking about that, like not just foreign policy though, Andrew. It's going to be the economy. It's going to be the character of the White House. The minute they take down the gold gewgaws, he's going to lose his fucking mind. You know, all these things that they have sworn loyalty to him on. At the end of the day, I think that if he's alive, he will never stop trying to run the party.
Never.
I'm here for it for you, JD.
And
Marco,
he doesn't
good luck,
need,
boys.
He doesn't need a title. He doesn't need a position in the party. He doesn't need anything other than Truth Social. And he will use that. He will use that as a cudgel for keeping the party in line, making it more and more MAGA, even when he's gone.
Forever.
And it's the doom of the Republican Party. This is, you know, I don't see a way they come back in a way that's strong or resilient as a party for not for 20, 30 years. I think after Trump, we enter a different world. And that doesn't mean that Democrats are going to run the country forever. You know, it doesn't mean that Democrats have control over the House and Senate in perpetuity.
But I think that the public perceptions in our polling and every other piece of polling we're looking at is, if you were to word cloud the question, what defines the Republican Party, the big word in the middle of the cloud would be Trump in the largest possible way.